Hello everyone and welcome back to the Hammered Corner. In today's video we have part 2 of my Coin Collector Chronicles with David Greenhalgh. He is here today to answer the group members' questions, and if you would like to be a part of these videos in the future, links to the English Hammered and Early Milled Facebook group are down below. So without further ado, here is part 2 with David Greenhalgh. Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm back with David Greenhalgh. He's back to answer some of your questions. If you haven't seen part 1, links will be somewhere on the screen now. Go and see that first and then come back to see David answer some of the group members' questions. So I've had a few questions in already. So welcome back, David. Thanks for coming back on.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
I've got a question first from Finley Miller. He asks, what is your favourite monarch to collect and why?
Oh, tricky. Of all, I think the fourth. It's really difficult to pin down to any one particular monarch. They're all fascinating. Anything from Edward the First through to Richard the Third really is my favourite.
Is there any particular reason why?
Some of the ones I started with 50 years ago. I'm more conversant with them than anything else apart from the threatened.
Chris Graham asks, what coin type, class and period of history is your favourite and why? So kind of similar.
Yeah. Like the penny, it's a lovely varied series, generally affordable. So obviously there's certain reigns that are pricey, and Henry IV, Richard III. The threatened also, because I've just finished the book the book was finished a while back on those. My favourites tend to be what I'm researching at the time.
Yeah.
So it's again favourite coins. They vary with research. Research is paramount rather than collecting.
So that kind of leads on to Lauren Belcher's question, which is why threepences?
Well, that one I can answer very much in depth. After the divorce and the sale of my half-groats, I was in a collecting vacuum and I needed something to collect. I glanced through the catalogue at various denominations. Obviously, it was something I needed to be away from the mainstream collections because people are collecting them so the prices go high. Mm-hmm. Something obscure. And the threepences, there didn't seem to be many of them. Edward VI, Charles I, Elizabeth, Charles II, and that's it. And for Charles, really only the provincial mints. Mm-hmm. I thought, nice little series to start to collect. And before I started collecting them, I thought, do a bit of research, because it's always best to research the subject before you plough into it with both feet. Okay. So make a few notes on the types, the mints, and the rare, and if I can find out anything about the rarities. And then I started doing a little crib sheet. When this crib sheet got to 500 pages, it looked like it was going to become a book. And that's when everything changed, and I went into the threatences in great detail. I'll a little insight into the book, because I look at articles in the BNJ, online, in the Numismatic Chronicle, and they tend to be full of footnotes. Then made CBNJ, blah, 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 blah. And you've got to stop, go, look, read, come back, and you're losing the thread all the time. So what I decided to do was, the book, rather than use footnotes, I would include every article related to threatences and copy the article verbatim into the appendices. So Appendix 1 is Edward VI, Appendix 2, Elizabeth, Appendix 3, Charles the First. Appendix 4 Charles II. And everything that was written, I copied and pasted into the volumes with permission, of course. So there was no need to put notes in. I thought, well, really got to illustrate as many coins as we can. So I was recording every coin I saw in museums, going to, first of all, going to the Fitzwilliam and the Ashmolean, local museums, anywhere I could get access to a collection of threepences. The British Museum, well, we won't go into that. The problems that we have with them over photography and access.
Oh, yeah.
So I recorded every coin I could see in the museum, photographic, weight, and put them into part 2 of the book. Then I also thought, well, there's private collections. So contacted the late Chris Coomber and Walter Wilkinson, John Hewlett, go and see their collections, photograph them and record them. Private collections into the sale rooms, such as Brooker and Lockett, etc., which then led on to going through all sales catalogues, all auction catalogues, to find out any threepences that had gone through auction, and any that were illustrated were then also illustrated in the book. Mm-hmm. And from the auction catalogues, it then led to private, to sales lists from Fink, Seabies, Chris Martin, and Alan, a whole range of things. So when the book was published, although initially what you buy is a paperback version of volume 1, which has all the details of the dies and legend readings, and every die is illustrated in the book on volume 1. Volume 2 is entirely the complete reference collection of all the threepences I've seen and recorded for publication. That appears as a DVD disc that accompanies the book, and along with the book 3, which is all the appendices and includes all the sales catalogue, everything. So you can use the book, track down any threepence that's gone through auction or gone through a sales list, and you have a good chance of finding it. So it then enables you to sort out the degree, etc. And very quickly, by hoovering up threepences on eBay, through the few coin fairs I was visiting at the time, and dealers such as Baldwin and Spink, I very quickly put together a collection that was a major magnitude. So the big collection that's had 100 or 200 threepences in. I was sat there looking at over 250 in my own private collection, which has been amassed in 2-3 years. I was able to use the surplus fund from the divorce to aid me in this. That, Lauren, is why I collected threepences. It started off as a stopgap, fill in the collecting void when I sold my half books until I found something more suitable for me to collect. I'm sticking with the threepences.
So Bruce Hearn asks, if you had to be a coin forger in any point in time, what time would it be, and what would your coin of choice be?
Ooh, well, one, I wouldn't choose to be a forger. If I could go back in time, I would become a moneyer and work for the crown. Forgeries, well, we want a time when the coins are in very poor state, poorly produced. So Henry II, Gilby, Stephen, with all the baronial issues, when people don't see the coins, in total, So they only see the coins in their local area. It's easy to pass off stuff that doesn't look quite right.
Mm-hmm.
That is if I wanted to be a forger, which I don't.
Craig Albright asks, how long would the apprenticeship have been in medieval times to learn the trade proficiently enough to work in a mint?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. You started at 7-year-old and you became a journeyman when you were 14.
Oh,
which would, that apprenticeship would be learning forge work, learning refining of silver, panel beating out the silver sheet, weighing, rudiments of accounting. Also, depending upon the period of time, it would have also included, prior to Canute, die cutting. Prior to not Canute, his reform, when the dies were made locally, made the mint a central die cutting station rather than individually by the moneyers.
So would it have been unusual for an adult to start to learn, or would they have always learned when they were younger?
It would have been known for an adult to learn. The cost of becoming a moneyer, certainly pre Norman times, you'd have, first of all, you'd have to have somewhere to work. You'd have to have the requisite skills such as silversmithing and goldsmithing, blacksmithing, tool making, all this. You would need, set yourself up with the money. First, you would need the dies. 66 pence for one set of dies. That was the charge at the time of Edgar. One set of dies probably strike 20,000 plus coin easily. Well, I'm writing to something up on that at the moment. So you're outlaying 60 pence. That's 60 days' wages. Bear in mind, a skilled man at that time earned a penny a day. So 66 days' wages buys you your dies.
Oh, wow.
Then you need buy silver to make the coins. Pounds worth of silver, 240 silver, pound, 140 pence worth of silver, of pure silver, you have to buy. You would then alloy that with 6.5, 7 pence worth of copper, melt it down, work it into sheet, work the blanks, and then strike the coins. At that point, you've outlaid nearly 310 pence, 310 days' wages. So a lot of time, so nearly a year's wages. You've also got to pay your seigniorage to the crown, which was payable on the dies out of every threepence in every pound of silver struck. And we imagine it would have been usually paid in advance on the receipt of the dies, on the assumption that the dies would strike 25,000 coins, that's 10 pound weight of silver. They strike a lot more than that. If it was £10 weight of silver, then you've got to pay another 30 silver pence. If the dies are striking £100 weight of silver, 300 pence. So looking at laying 600 pence, 600 days' wages before you've even made a penny profit. Oh. And of that money, your first profit would be twopence as the master of the mint, a halfpenny for panel beating the sheet, a farthing for striking the coins, and possibly halfpenny for putting the coins into the banks, into discs. You'd probably earn 5 pence out of 600 days' wage money you've outlaid. You then got 247.5 pence with which to buy your next pound worth of silver. And very quickly, a moneyer can turn over £10 of silver in a coin a day, if the blanks are made, or if he's got a bank worker making the melting the silver. I'd say 5 people, one making the blank, one melting the silver, one cutting the discs, one person striking them. So that would then be making, out of that £10 of silver, the man whose name appears on the coins, the master moneyer, will be earning 20 pence a day, when a skilled man earns a penny a day.
Oh, wow.
In today's terms, that's putting you on a wage of £750,000 per annum.
Oh, what, in today's money?
It's more than a footballer earns in a week.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
And after that, moneyers had certain privileges. Because they're paying threepence in the pound to the crown, that's like you paying £750,000 tax a year. If you were paying that, you would want certain concessions back from the government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, a moneyer was exempt all the forms of taxation. There wasn't income tax, but there were toll taxes, there were bridge tolls, road taxes, city taxes. In fact, there was a bridge tax at London where when you crossed London Bridge, you paid a tax on every wheel on your vehicle. You had a handcart with one wheel, you paid once. A two-wheeled handcart, you paid twice. A four-wheeled donkey cart, 4 times. An 8-wheeled ox cart, you paid 8 times. You could carry more goods. But the moneyers were exempt from that. They were also exempt import and export duties. It's recorded that a lot of moneyers, when they'll set the mint up and get their 20 pence a day of the names on the dies, would then leave the gang of people working at, say, London, and disappear off to Champagne, the markets in Champagne, go on the booze cruise, come back with silk and spices, bring them back into this country and flog them at a greatly reduced cost to themselves. They could sell virtually their goods at half the price anyone else could and make twice as much profit because they weren't paying the taxes on them. They weren't like moneyers had a social standing somewhere between traffic warden and telephone cantor. But they had the money.
Do you know what they would have had to carry around to show that they were a moneyer? Did they have any kind of? I'm not sure. What would they have to show?
We've had the Carter papers, the indenture that gave them the moneyers, or the die, a set of the dies with the name on. We know one moneyer, Dearman, in 1004 AD, when Ethelred II's living in a wooden palace in Westminster, Dearman has 2 stone-built houses in the centre of London and a row of shops.
What, and Ethelred had a wooden palace?
Yeah. I mean, it was only the church that could really afford, stone-built houses. Or Dearman. He was only one of 39 moneyers operating in London at that time. I think I was about 39. But there were 39 moneyers making that, and they're all on the same. These were people that equate today with Al Fayed, so really the top flight money moguls. Okay, we weren't like, but they got the money, so you made up for it.
Sam Smith asks, what is your favourite coin that you either currently own or have previously owned?
One was a half groat with the obverse die of Edward III, the reverse die of Richard II, that was struck in around 1408, the reign of Henry IV.
Oh, wow.
It's what is known to a few people as the Intermediary Issue between heavy and light issue of Henry IV. Around that time, Henry IV had one of his periods of going gaga, and Prince Henry, the future Henry V, was in charge and needed to raise money. He sent a note to the Master of the Mint to produce coins of a lighter weight, but it were to be done on the quiet. Now, this puts the Master of the London Mint in a very awkward position. If he agrees and complies, and he's found to be making lighter weight coins, that's his knackers on the line. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for making lightweight coins was castration. So, it's not something you look forward to. If he refuses, he's put the backup of the Royal Region, mm-hmm. which is not a good career move. But how does he get round it? The guests of the old guys at the mint, some old coins, old guys of Richard II. Now, Henry IV had divorced Richard II, so if the mint master was striking coins of Richard, that would be seen to generate insurrection. Again, put your head on the block. There are also some dies of Edward III from the post-treaty period. If he takes Henry III die, partners it with late Richard II die, and strikes coins from that, of course they're going to be lightweight because they'll have been around since 1377. So that's why they're light. And again, there's about half a dozen of these known. And they're all mules, Edward III, Richard II, but they're all lightweight, even when they're fully struck, and correspond with the intermediary issue of Henry IV. This theory was put forward originally by Christopher Blunt, and I expounded on it in the Half-Growth book.
So, following on that, was there anybody in charge of checking the coins before they were sent out? Like when they were struck, was there anybody in charge of checking?
Yeah, the mint controller. Coins would be checked by weight. No, they won't be checked individually, because we're talking of, there's like 10 moniers operating. You've got 20,000 coins a day going out to the mint. You can't set up every day checking each one. You take 240, weigh them, and then there was agreed variance of 1 or 2 points either way. This was brought into great prominence in the reign of Edward I, with the coinage in 1279. There was a competition for the mint between Peter de Turnimere, William de Turnimere, and another person whose name has temporarily escaped me, see who could produce the best quality coins consistently. And it was William de Turnimere who came out top, and he was promoted to the first master of the Royal Mint. And Peter de Turnimere became his assistant and was in charge of the provincial mint.
So what benefits came with that when he won that?
Well, he was in charge of the whole mint, so he'd obviously get better pay, social standing, etc. But what it meant was that we know that the coins were checked consistently. Certainly since the debacle of 1278 with the last of the long cross coinages of Edward I, the Type 7 that were issued by Philip de Cambio, which were found to be slightly base.
Well, fantastic, David. Well, we've just hit almost 30 minutes, so we're going to have to leave it there for this week, but part 2 of the questions will be coming in a couple of weeks' time, so thank you so much for coming on and answering these questions.
Yeah, fine. No problem. Just a note, if we can finish them all off before the end of March.
Yeah.
Because I've been given notification I'm heading back to Bamber Castle at the end of March to start the mint there. The offer is again to anyone, the group. If you're passing Bamber and you want to pop in and talk about coins, have a go at striking some. The dies are there, the mint will be there, I'll be there. Come along, have a beer, enjoy yourself.
So there we have it. Huge thanks to Dave for being back on the channel. There'll be one more part to this trilogy of interviews coming in the next couple of weeks. Thanks to those who submitted their questions. For any coin tickets, accessories or behind the scenes videos, Links to my Facebook page are in the description. There is plenty of content to come in the next few weeks, so be sure you're subscribed so you never miss out on a video. Thank you all for watching, and as always, keep collecting!